And we're recording. Okay, so I love her.
Super excited.
I hear that. I like the enthusiasm. We need more of that. Okay, so did you guys do 1 and 2?
Yeah, step 2 was tough.
Yeah.
But it's over with.
We're going to talk about step 2, but before we do, I don't know if you guys noticed, but he kept repeating, like in the reading section, he kept repeating, life will never be the same. Did you guys notice that? Okay, so with that, we're going to do a little mini jam session with the song Life by Hadaway. Have you guys ever heard of this song?
Life will never be life. Life will never be the Time is getting cold. What is going on?
Okay, I just love it. So like whenever it was like life will never be the same, I was like, I just hear that song playing on repeat now. And I learned that song at Tony Robbins because that's the song that we like dance to during Tony Robbins. But if you ever like need a little pump me up, it's Life by Hadaway. Life will never be the same. Anyways, so I'm like totally loving that. Life will never be the same. And hi, Katie. I saw you said hi in the little chat box. Hi, we're happy you're here, and it looks like you were driving, so drive safe. Okay, so let's talk about steps 1 and 2. Step 1, pretty simple. We just had to kind of make that commitment. And I think I'm going to go back on mine, and there's a few things that kind of spoke to me in like the thing, or maybe I'm going to record myself or something. But I kind of just want to make it like maybe even like a daily mantra, like something that I read to myself every morning, like in the mirror, because that's super powerful. So I'm going to start and I'm going to read it, and then we're all going to say it. I, Danielle Barrett, being of sound mind and body, do hereby pledge to commit to no longer allowing myself to be the subject to inconsistency and lack of follow-through and perseverance. It's like they know. Like, I was like, wait, are you watching me? Like, oh, anyways. Okay. I will not stifle my opportunities for growth and improvement and inhibit my access to the miraculous and incredible potential lying inside me, ready to be harnessed, incited, and set free, that will lead me expediently. How do you say that word? Did I say
exponentially.
What?
Exponentially.
Exponentially.
It's not.
It's like expedite. Like expedite.
It's like expedite. Expedite in the direction.
It's exponentially. It's called exponentially.
But it's not. It's not.
Not exponentially.
It's not spelt like exponentially.
No.
Oh dear.
It's like the word expedite, like go faster. But
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I've never seen this form of it. Anyways, that will lead me expediently in the direction of my greatest dreams, ambitions, and allow me to make profound difference in my life, in the life of my family. I do hereby commit to completing the Living Your Best Year Ever program. I will use the achievement confidently and expeditiously, another form of the word, take me toward the accomplishment of my big, audacious, and wildly ambitious goals. Danielle Barrett. Yay! Okay, well, we have more people. We only had like 3 people, and now we have more. So we can all go through and say it if you want, if anyone wants to proclaim it publicly. Does anyone else want to stumble through the word expediently?
Can you spell it out for me?
Yeah. EXPE as in dog, IEN
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Strawberries, dude? Or do you want melons?
I want melons.
Oh. Sorry, I'm talking to a 3-year-old.
No, I know. I was just playing, but. Oh, that was funny. Okay, let's do some music.
I thought my sound was off. Stop making me laugh.
Wait, my sound is on.
Okay.
Oh man. Okay, that's better. Okay, does anyone else want to say it though, other than me? I just felt like putting it out there. Kate, I had mentioned that I think it's a good idea for us to like read through this, maybe even out loud every day, like every morning.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So, okay.
Putting
Any
it out there.
questions or anything on step 1? I mean, I think that's the easiest thing we're going to do this whole time. Okay. Step 2. Talk about a woozy. Oh man. All the feels on that guy right there. Anybody want to talk about how they felt or any realizations or any?
I'll talk about how I felt.
Okay.
I went through all the freaking feels. I think I was crying like a baby, and this is where I stopped the past 2 years, is I would get to here and then stop because I couldn't handle it and I would beat myself up. So this year I went into this step knowing how I was going to feel and knowing not to feel defeated by these things and the things that I was feeling. And I tried to come from a place of like gratitude and to be real with myself, being real, because I think in the past, like I beat myself up and then I feel defeated and then I don't want to move forward, which doesn't get you anywhere in life. That's why I was fucking stuck for 2016 and that's not doing me any good. So I can't live that way anymore. So I went into it when especially going over like lessons learned, like I was thinking about, I thought back to my limiting beliefs that I discovered at Tony Robbins. We talked about Tony Robbins a lot last time, but he has you go over limiting beliefs. And these were definitely lessons that I learned about myself. There's multiple apparently. Ow, my cat's knocked over my phone.
We all have multiple personalities.
We do. I learned.
So that's
Oh my God, Ollie, stop. Leave my phone alone. But I got excited. Instead of beating myself up and comparing myself like I have in the past, I used it as a platform to get excited. I mean, I did. I was a little disappointed in myself. I felt sad. I felt like I let myself down. And then I let myself feel that for 90 seconds. Tony Robbins says he has a 90-second rule. When shit happens, you can celebrate or you can, cry about it or bitch about it for 90 seconds and then get over it. So that's how I tried to do it this. I was like, I have my 90 seconds of feeling off. And then I would change my state. I would dance up and down and I would make myself feel better about it. And then I would do it. I reminded myself that this is just a starting point and that this is just the beginning, and how I'm going to look back a year from now doing this again next year and just feeling so accomplished and looking back about how far I've come. So that's how I felt. All the feels.
Yeah, it definitely motivated me to think about the fact that I would be doing this next year and being like, I want to have such better answers for this next year. And I think that's where the motivation came from. Like, it was hard because I feel like I had a pretty unproductive year, and it just motivated me to want to be more productive this year so that next year when I'm filling this out, I can be like, yep, I was a badass.
I love it.
the cool thing about like the negative or sad or frustrated feelings that we had during this is that we can come back to this anytime we feel like giving up. And we're like, oh, why am I doing this stupid thing? In March when the newness has faded away and we're like, I don't want to do this weekly system anymore. Go back and read your step 2, and you'll be like, well, crap, I would rather not feel this way at the end of next year or, the current year more than I would rather not fill out my weekly assessment, You know what I mean? So I think that it's like a pain versus pleasure, and like really feeling that pain and accepting it and using that to fuel you forward so that you don't do the same thing year after year.
I agree. I totally agree with that. And that was another thing that we learned at Tony. All the Tony, all the time.
Hey, I was trying to sound really like smart there. Can't be giving away all my Tony secrets. Oh,
Maybe.
how about you, Liz?
Hopefully I can get this in. Oh, yeah, okay. Unmute myself. So I didn't really feel, I don't even think I had goals for last year. So when I did this, I didn't feel defeated, like I didn't achieve my goals because I didn't have them. But in the same aspect, like that is not a way that I want to go through life, like without having some end goal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just kind of floating through, like doing what I'm should be doing. So I had a hard time, like, what the hell did I do last year? So it was helpful going on social media and kind of seeing, like, what was going on. But other than that, like, what did I do? Like, I just worked. I didn't really do that much. And then I went ahead from step 2, but, like, when I was filling out my wheel, it's like my lifestyle is, like, which is so sad. Like, I don't want to just live to be working. So that was kind of eye-opening. And it's like, so that's not what I want to do. And someone told me once, they were like, if you don't do something big, 5 years is going to go by like that. So like, if you're just living day to day, going to your job, coming home, like you're not going to remember anything. Like, what am I doing with myself? So that was kind of eye-opening in that it was a little lackluster, I feel like.
I felt similar. I had moments of like defeat, but definitely in the first 2 steps, like greatest happenings and what are you most proud of? I didn't have it wasn't as easy in my head. I was like, why is this so hard to like come up with things? I'm like, because I feel like I wasn't living to my full potential.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that was supposed to be like the happy part of step 2, and I was like, oh man.
My cats.
I think that my favorite, well, I don't know if you can pick a favorite, but I'm picking a favorite. My favorite part of step 2 were the greatest lessons I've learned in the last year. I don't know if you guys read my post, but a huge, huge, huge one is that success and or money does not equal happiness and fulfillment. And I know that we hear that all the time, but I finally grasped it and understood it this last year. And that contribution and self-growth are areas that I'm lacking in. And if I up those areas, my happiness and fulfillment will up. And I've been kind of like living backwards. And I don't know if it's because I come from not like being very wealthy and not having a lot of things, that I think money and things is happiness. And so I think I really kind of made that switch mentally this year. And I've been feeling way more happy, not being like, oh, I need $1 million to be happy. Like I've kind of banished that. So that was big for me going through this, is realizing that, okay, maybe I am kind of disappointed in what I did, but I feel like I also learned a really good lesson in the last year. So I'm proud of that.
That was one of my lessons learned too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And to be happy in the now and find gratitude and not be so focused on the things that we don't have, because we have everything that we need, and other things are just like, we should. It's things that we tell ourselves. But one thing that I learned at Tony Robbins is he says he mentors like the 50 wealthiest people in the world or something, like 50 millionaire, billionaires, whatever heirs. And only like 2 of those people are actually happy. How disturbing is that? That 50 of the wealthiest people aren't actually happy, like 2. So that was like a big thing for me. And I realized that I had looked at money as pain. And that was another one of my limiting beliefs that I discovered at Tony Robbins. And so that was one of my lessons learned. But on the other side, that you don't need money in order to feel something or have something or whatever. It helps, but you know. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, no, I was done.
Oh.
No, this is good. I kind of just like kind of comparing and relating with each other. Elizabeth or Katie or Nicole, do you guys have anything to add? Any specific part of step 2 you wanted to talk about? Or share?
I actually haven't done mine yet. I'm still waiting on my journal, but I'm going to print it off and do it tonight. And then I was going to share tomorrow on Facebook because I guess the website I ordered it from, it didn't tell me when it was going to come. And it's like a week or so. So I'm just going to print it off because I feel like I'm behind.
Yeah, I am the same way. I'm waiting on my journal, but I just printed. It says like what page they're on, and so I just printed the steps, and it ended up being like 50 sheets. So it's kind of
that's not bad.
But you can always just print off like step by step until you get your journal, and then transfer it in later. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
I was gonna say something.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know I'm driving between things and I have a second, but I was gonna say something that kind of touched on what Kate said. Was I also view money as kind of like a painful like force in my life, and it's really great that you guys are doing this kind of thing because I've never stepped back and objectively like looked at my life beyond like the whole, oh, I'm gonna do this on like New Year's Eve and everything's gonna magically be different. And so like these steps are like really helping me kind of dig into like some deeper stuff, and it's been really useful so far. So that is what I got from that, and I have to get back on the road.
Yes, drive safe. That's good though. Yeah, it's kind of weird to kind of, and we're just going to be getting deeper and deeper in these next few steps too, which is kind of nice. And I just remembered I wanted to share. I don't know what the word is, like analogies, I think is what I'm looking for. They really speak to me. And so in the reading part, when he talked about, like for example, 3 boys were told to make the straightest line from here to here, and 2 of the boys just looked down at their feet and tried to put them in front of each other, which is like what we're doing day to day. And if that's all we're focusing on, we're going to be zigzagging and we think we're going in a straight line, but then the one kid just looked straight at the tree and like walked, and he made the straightest line. And like I have never had where I'm going. I'm the person who I'm like, okay, just put one foot one day after another. Just do the things I know I need to do. Step, 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 which is getting me closer, but I can't draw a straight line and I can't get there ever if I don't know where I'm going. And so I think I just loved all those analogies and stuff that really like pulled at me like, oh, okay, I can see why it's important to have a specific place of where I'm going.
Yeah, I really liked it wasn't your baby one, because like honestly that is my reason for everything I do. And like I've went ahead and already like the goals and stuff, like the whole reason is my baby. And so that one, it was just like, oh my God, yes. Or the would you walk across the plank if it's on the ground? Yeah, sure. What about if I put it on the building? Oh, hell no. What about if your baby is over there? Yes. Like that's so true. So I like those stories too. They're awesome.
And it's like, what changed?
Mm-hmm.
Your why.
Mm-hmm.
The why is the maker or the breaker of action.
One thing that like I learned from this year too, and I learned it literally a lot of these things that I learned from these were reflecting. It came from things that I picked up at Tony Robbins. I was looking back over my notes. I don't know if Danny did this too or if Amanda did. I'll have to ask her. But one of the other lessons that I learned was learning to play full out. And so if you ever go to UPW, they talk about it, and Amy and Amanda had said it so many times, like play full out, and I didn't understand it. But it means like not holding yourself back and not letting fear like take the wheel and doing things outside your comfort zone and just freaking enjoying the shit out of life, I think, is part of it. I don't know. When I went into this year, and even when I signed up for Tony Robbins, I wasn't even sure if I was going to walk across fire. Like, I was like, I don't know. People don't have to do it, right? Like, I told myself, like, oh, this is just something that some people do. It's not mandatory. Like, I don't know. And I had all these things. I had all these fears about it in my head. And I don't know. Like, when Danny and I were UPW, just screaming at the top of our lungs and dancing for like 15 and like 17 hours a day, and just being so happy and just so like carefree and so ourselves. Like, that was something that I learned. And a lesson learned is the past couple years, I haven't been playing full out in my life. I've been letting things hold me back. I've been letting limiting beliefs and fears and doubts and just like worrying when I thought I didn't care about what other people think. That was another thing I took away from this year. Like, I have. And so, yeah, just going into 2017, like playing full out in my business, in my life, and, you know, that.
That's my smartest thing. The smartest decision I made last year, going to UPW. It was between that and saying yes to Bobby when he asked me to marry him. But I chose UPW because
Oh my God, my cats are
everything
sucking.
about UPW just makes me feel comfortable. But if I didn't go to UPW, then of course saying yes to Bobby, because like you guys, he's like amazing. But he wouldn't have, I wouldn't be up on his level, if that makes sense. Like, the relationship wouldn't mean as much as it does if I weren't making these changes, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So without UPW, that decision wouldn't mean as much, I guess. Okay, anyways.
That was mine too. And it was also my 10 great things, and it's just in 2 areas. So.
I know, on the 10 great things, I'm like, attended UPW, walked on fire.
Yeah.
Oh, so funny.
I wrote also like realize my limiting beliefs, even though that's part of UPW.
I know. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
They can totally be two separate things, because you can go to UPW and not realize your limit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they should definitely be 2 things on your list.
Yeah.
For sure.
Agreed. That's a good way to look at it, Liz. I like that.
I do too.
Will anyone else have any takeaways from the reading, anything that struck them, or anything that they want to share? Okay. Well, it looks like Liz is, well, are you like all the way done?
No. I got to step where I wrote down my 10 goals, and then after that you like delve deeper. So I'm on step 5.
Okay, cool. So that's for this week, steps 3, 4, and 5. And step 3 is I am so excited for. It's the gratitude step. And another thing from Tony Robbins. God, Kate, we're so annoying.
Right?
It's okay.
Everything is like,
you.
I saw a friend the other day who I realized I hadn't seen since Tony Robbins, and we started talking about something else, and then 15 minutes later I realized I
I think that's a good thing, though. That's why these total immersion seminars work, because they keep you in a state of like learning, and like it's so much easier to actually like grasp the concepts. Anyways, gratitude. He like had this, so there's 10,000 people in the room, and he had everyone raise their hand who was depressed. In 80% of the room raised their hand, and he asked how many people are on medication for being depressed. 75% of people of those of the crowd raised their hand, and then he said, "And how many of you are still depressed?" And everyone raised their hand again, because the medications don't work, you guys. Like, I'm sorry if, I'm not judging anyone on here if you take them, but gratitude is the fastest and easiest and best medicine for depression, because depression comes from, like Kate mentioned, focusing on the things that we do not have. But if we change that habit, which it's okay, you guys, like, don't like beat yourself up. Like, I've lived there for many years. Like, I understand. But it just takes like switching those habits and like realizing the minute you're doing it and like going into that depressed place, and your drug of choice, which mine is like stress. Like, I love to stress. Like, not that I love to do it, but that's where I go. But in those moments, and like realizing that you're doing this to yourself and you're focusing on the wrong things, and immediately turning that around and practicing gratitude. And so this, again, might be a great list to turn to every time you're feeling down. Like, wow, these are the great things I have in my life. And if you practice your gratitude every single day and really focus on what you do have and all the beautiful things in your life, like, it's life-changing. And that's one of the biggest things that I have changed since Tony Robbins. And I am living, oh my God, so much more stress-free. I used to have like literal, like physiological reactions to stress. Like, my shoulders used to be constantly tight. I would sleep with my jaw clenched together, and I would just feel anxious, like just at any minute, like, and I would just find like all the muscles in my neck and my face. Anyways, I've been like good since CW. I'm like, my shoulders feel good. I'm not doing the whole like grinding my teeth and all of that when I'm sleeping, and I'm sleeping better. I'm able to fall asleep instead of laying there stressing about everything that I can think of. Anyways, so gratitude has been a freaking lifesaver for me. So I'm really excited for everyone to go through step 3. And it's one of those things that we just say. We're like, oh yeah, I'm grateful. But like, do you actually feel it? And there's an awesome exercise on YouTube, or is it on Tony Robbins' website? I think it's on YouTube. And it's an exercise he takes you through, and he like tells you to close your eyes or whatever, and he tells you like, think of something you are grateful for that made you laugh, something that you're grateful for that made you feel proud. What's an accomplishment that you're grateful for? And anyways, and then he has you like you're like in your like little meditation, and he has you like reach out and grab them and pull them into your heart. Oh, I think I froze. Anyways, and then you just keep pulling him in, and he's like, now grab as many as you can and pull him in. And you literally are like doing this.
It feels amazing.
And it just like every time, you guys, it's like my body's tingling just even like doing that motion, just because I've done that exercise so many times. So in the morning, I like to do the priming exercise and the gratitude video off of YouTube. Anyways, gratitude has changed my life, and we all need to actually practice it instead of just saying it. Okay.
One thing I want to add to that too is I need to get back to that exercise, but one thing that I've been doing is I think about it, but I make sure I write out my list. I write out a list of 10 reasons why I'm grateful for. And it can be little things or it can be big things, but that's how I've been like starting out my day and I prime as well. And get myself in state. But I like to just sit there and think about for a minute after my PD about like what I'm truly grateful for. And I write a list of 10 things. Some days they're repetitive, some days they're not, but I try to find little things. So good, guys. It just makes you smile. You can't be angry when you're grateful. You can't be sad. You can't be depressed. Like, you just have a big ass smile on your face. It's like the best drug ever.
And it's like tingly, like your heart tingles and your body tingles. I'm going to share, I have those 2 links, the priming and the gratitude exercise saved in my notes, so that each morning I just have to go to my notes and click on it, and it plays and like walks you through it. Because I'm a big fan of like making things easy, because if they're not easy, you're not going to do them. So if you have to literally like look up a video each day or whatever, then you're not going to do it. But if you can just click on it, then you're more likely to do it. So easy, easy, easy. Okay. Step 4 is going to be, pretty easy. It might be a little emotional too, just because it's going to have you like score yourself in different areas of your life. And it might be kind of like in step 2 where you're like, ooh, eek. Oh, like, oh, not so good, not so good.
It's definitely a reality check. It's like on somebody's because the lowest is 1, and I was like, oh my god, I'm like at a 0 if I'm being honest with myself,
Yeah.
you know. And it's kind, I told you I colored in my wheel, and it's sad.
Yeah. Liz, does it have you do where you want it to be at the end? Because I didn't see that on here.
I'm not at the end of this step. It does not, but I think at the like on the weekly, or it might be the quarterly or the monthly reviews, you reshade in your wheel.
Okay, cool. Because I remember at Tony Robbins we did our wheel, and then we said where we wanted it to be so that we could see the difference of like what our wheel would look like. Anyways, pretty fast step, I would say, but again, it might feel a little like eek. I can't wait to see everyone's wheels, though. We did this practice at Tony Robbins, and actually, Kate, this would be good. Don't go look at what you did at Tony Robbins if you haven't already.
No, I haven't yet.
Okay.
I thought about it. I did, but I was like, no, I'm curious to see the difference.
And then compare our wheels.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm so
Weren't ours somewhat similar to it?
yeah, like the shape of like where, yeah. Cool. That'll be fun. Oh my god, I'm excited to do that now. And then step 5. Do you want to talk about step 5?
The wheel of life, setting balanced goals in every area of life. So,
Wait, what? Is that 4?
no, that's 5.
Oh. The grand.
It got a little confusing, like when I was doing the reading, and it was like
Confused.
it was like step 4 reading, now go to this page, but then there was more reading on step 4, and I was like, do I finish reading step 4 or do I go when it says to go? It got a little confusing, so I don't know, maybe it was just me.
Step 4.
I haven't done the reading. I was just looking at the worksheet for it.
The wheel of life. Okay, so that's kind of what we just talked about. And then you have your top 10 goals. So
Okay,
now
that's step 5.
Yeah.
The wheel is the step 4.
Yeah.
Okay. It just is so weird that what I'm looking at the PDF right now.
Yeah.
And it's like under step 5.
Yeah, it's weird. I was really confused when I was doing it too.
Yeah.
Okay. So step 5 is top 10 goals. Now narrow down your goals to your top 10 overall goals. Define the categories, money, all the different things in the box next to each goal, and prioritize them from 1 to 10. Be sure to set defined deadlines to have them accomplish. This part is huge because of anything in your life, if you guys are not setting actual goals next to your, or dates next to your goals, like they're just dreams. They're not actually going to happen. They're kind of whimsy and they're not like real. So you need to set defined dates and be like, remind yourself about that in order to have them accomplished. So you think, act, and react with urgency and appropriate energy defined by that task. So one thing that is from Tony, like that you talk about is like action. Like you must, what was it? You must do you know what I'm talking about, Danny? Like you must, I have my book. Okay, I think I have it.
Look, can I add real quick while you're looking for that? You were saying to have that date, and then the reading does say that you have to have SMART goals, and the SMAR stands for something, but to be measurable. So like Danny, you always talk about like, oh, I want to be successful, but there's no measurement to that. So that's one thing I need to go back on step 5 and make sure that all my goals actually are measurable. So, and then the other things, you know, specific, measurable, you have that timeline down. The reading tells you to do that too.
Yeah. Okay. So
nice. It looks like it gives you like pretty good, clear instructions on each aspect.
So what I wanted to add in from Tony, because it reminded me of this, like the 3 beliefs for lasting success. And one thing that you want to think about when you're writing these things down and thinking about your goals and setting those dates is 1, it must change now. 2 is I must change it now. 3 is I can change it now. So like setting urgency and appropriate energy defined by the task. So just as your muscles prepare in one way when you stoop over to pick up the morning paper and react entirely different manner when you prepare to lift a 100-pound barbell. So your mind prepares your body and your attitudes for responding appropriately to the deadlines you set. Deadlines also create a challenge and you respond to the challenge. So, and that's the same thing. Like if you notice when you're talking about coaching groups or challenge groups, hopefully you're setting dates. I will tell you, you will hear no or not right now a lot more. You're not setting dates for those things. And it's because you're not giving people a deadline and not giving them the urgency that people need. So there's that. And then we have the top 3 goals. So further isolate your top 3 goals, break them down into small steps. Example, run a marathon, think of the first 5 miles, the next 3, etc. Write a 500-page book, write 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. So this is like helping reverse engineer them. And then number 2 for that is other actions to support the main goal. Determine if your goals are SMART goals, meaning specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive. And then my big, hairy, scary, audacious goal. So BAG, big, hairy, audacious goal, whatever that is. So you set your goal, deadline, and then step 1, step 2, step 3 it. And then other actions that support your big, hairy, scary goal. And if it's a SMART goal, and then you just kind of go through that before step 6. So it's really breaking those down and thinking about the actions that you actually have to do to create that happen. So I know mine is going to be an elite team. So what does that mean? So breaking that down into little steps. But yeah, that's step 6, 5, 6, 5, 5. Sorry.
I will say this, that's so cool that they have the SMART goals, because you use that in nursing. Like that right there is exactly what we use in nursing for like care plans and whatnot. So that's really cool that it kind of like correlates, because I know how important, like you want a measurable goal.
Yeah.
We use that in teaching too. Same thing.
That's so weird. It's like a full circle. Kind of makes me have an aha moment.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
We need to be smart in life, I think is what it's telling us.
Exactly. Well, I'm excited.
I'm very excited. This has been really good. And it's kind of funny because some of you probably noticed I did mine today. And I totally looked at step 2 and was like, nope. Like, not going there. I mean, I knew I would, but I just was like, scared headlights, like, oh my God, that takes me really like kind of digging in, and that's uncomfortable. And I don't really like to do uncomfortable things. And that's actually on my step 2 is, I forget what section I put it under. Oh yeah, if I could go back and do it again, I would do these 3 things differently. And I put step outside of my comfort zone daily. So that's something that I need to do this year. Well, starting now, because I don't like getting uncomfortable. And Kate and I talk about this all the time.
Yep. It is something that we both, I mean, it's because we're literally like, it's ingrained in our brain to not be uncomfortable. Like society teaches us to fill in the mold and to be like A, B, or C, and to not even look at X, Y, and Z. Like, you know, you're supposed to just do this and do this and this damn cats. The recording's gonna be so funny. My cats keep knocking this over. But you know, it's really important, because if you're not getting uncomfortable, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're dying. And so, like, if you don't have that one thing that we learned at Tony Robbins, it just keeps coming up. In order to get uncomfortable and to create change and create success, you have to have leverage. And that goes back to thinking about those things that, you know, maybe aren't so pleasant, that you don't want to think about. But those are the things that are continue happening if you don't change and if you don't get uncomfortable. And so you have to create leverage in order to see change and to grow and to get uncomfortable. So when you're thinking about those things, like, just be willing. No, it's one thing or the other. Like if your life keeps going in that direction, if you let yourself do those things that weren't serving you, what will that look like? You definitely won't be where you want to be. I haven't seen Danny for like a week.
I know.
Oh.
Here I am in all my glory.
Yeah. Same.
All right, you guys. Well, we can go now. It's kind of a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but it was fun kind of hearing about everyone's experiences and step 2. And I'm excited. I feel like we're going to have some good kind of takeaways next week on step 3, 4, and 5. So that'll be fun. And then just, comment in the group as you kind of go through these and, get some conversations started. It's kind of fun to see what other people are kind of going through. And it kind of, I think, helps us knowing we're not alone as we kind of go through some of this stuff. And like Kate said, she always stops at step 2 the last couple times she's tried to do this. So I don't know, Kate, if you find that this is helping you push through because that we're all kind of like in it together.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's helping everyone too.
Yeah. The accountability aspect and just going to Tony and learning like the old bullshit that I let happen in my life, like that's no longer serving me. And I can't half-ass things because I half-assed this year because I didn't, like if I would have followed through with this, I could have had a better year. But I'm not going to live in the past and I'm not going to live in the could have or should have. I'm just going to make it a must for this year.
Quit slacking and make shit happen.
Make my move.
All right, you guys. Well, I will go ahead and post up the recording once it's uploaded. And thank you so much for taking time out of your Monday evening. I really, really appreciate seeing you guys on here and respecting our time, and I'm really just happy that we're all doing this together. So much love and proud of you guys. And let's do this. Woo! Bye.
Bye.